Hello everyone, and welcome back to Farfarawaytheories, the channel that theorizes and discusses everything Shrek. In today's jam-packed video, we will be discussing all of the events that happened in between Shrek 1 and Shrek 2. As I said in the intro, this video is going to be very jam-packed. It's surprising how many Shrektacular things happen in just a short span of time in the Shrek universe. I'm going to start by saying I think all of these events take place roughly within a time span of about 2 weeks. As we know, at the end of Shrek 1, Shrek and Fiona, after defeating Lord Farquaad, get married and go on their honeymoon. The end of their honeymoon is shown at the beginning of Shrek 2. However, because of all the events that happen in between Shrek 1 and Shrek 2, I think there has to be at least a 2-week span of time. So, I'll explain in the order of which I think all the events happen. So let's stop messing around and get into this theory. So, the most obvious event that happens right at the end of Shrek 1 and continues into this part of the timeline, where Shrek, Fiona, Donkey, and all the other Fairytale creatures have an amazing, huge party. At this party, we know that Donkey was singing Living La Vida Loca. However, after this, he would sing the rest of his songs, and this would go on for a long time. All of the Fairytale creatures, including the Gingerbread Man, the Big Bad Wolf, who's going to be quite important in this theory, Pinocchio, the 3 Little Pigs, and all the other Fairytale creatures would be dancing and partying it up at Shrek Swamp. A quick note talking about Shrek. In this time, Shrek is extremely happy as he has found his true love in Fiona, and he has finally got his swamp back. Fiona is also incredibly happy being with Shrek, so they would be enjoying themselves and romantically dancing on the dance floor. Gingerbread Man would be flirting and dancing with the fairy girl, as shown at the end of Shrek 1. Donkey would be having a great time, messing around and singing all of his songs, while Dragon happily enjoyed her new boyfriend's amazing singing voice. This would go on for quite a long time, many hours in fact. Many snacks and eyebaltinis and other beverages would be passed around and enjoyed throughout the night. This is where the Big Bad Wolf steps in. After a few too many eyebaltinis and eating lots of things from the buffet, the Big Bad Wolf would comically harass the 3 Little Pigs and act like he was going to eat them. Shrek would get annoyed at this and tell the Big Bad Wolf to behave. However, this would annoy the Big Bad Wolf, and he would go off and eat more food, until eventually he would get very sleepy. Then he would stumble around, venturing into Shrek's swamp house, and eventually finding Shrek's bed. At first, this didn't bother anyone, until eventually everyone had had their fun, and the party would eventually end. Donkey and a very happy Shrek and Fiona would talk happily, Donkey mentioning that he was going to cook waffles in the morning. However, eventually, the Fairytale creatures would go back to their homes, and Donkey would go home with Dragon, and so Shrek and Fiona would go into their swamp house. However, Shrek's mood would be slightly soured, because when Shrek and Fiona are going to go to bed, Shrek would find an unwelcome visitor reading a magazine in his bed. Being startled, the Big Bad Wolf would utter a surprised "What?" However, as Shrek and Fiona were having a romantic moment, before this, Shrek would get greatly annoyed. The Big Bad Wolf would also give Shrek attitude because of all the eyebaltinis he had drank, so Shrek would angrily grab him by the neck and kick him out of his swamp. by throwing him violently out of the door. Rather surprised, the big bad wolf would dust himself off groggily, picking up his magazine and walking off to find a new place to sleep. Rather annoyed, the big bad wolf would travel to the Duloc shop to gather some supplies and other snacks while he searched for a new place to sleep. For quite a while, the big bad wolf would rack his brain, trying to think of somewhere he could sleep for free, where no one would bother him. Eventually, it hit him: the Dragon's Keep. Earlier, he noticed Dragon was with Donkey, and also knew that Shrek had saved Fiona from Dragon's castle, and Fiona's room must have had a bed. So, with the big bad wolf determined to get a good night's relaxation, he travelled to the Dragon's Keep. As it was now unguarded, he used his immensely powerful breath to blow himself upwards and fly over the gap between the keep entrance. As you remember, in Shrek 1, Dragon destroyed the bridge that led into the keep. However, with the big bad wolf's very powerful breath, it was no problem for the amazingly powerful wolf. And this explains why the big bad wolf was at the Dragon's Keep when Prince Charming arrived at the Dragon's Keep to save Fiona in Shrek 2. Speaking of Charming, this is when he comes in. Through the fairy godmother's immense number of connections throughout the whole world, as a celebrity, Fairy Godmother heard news about Lord Farquaad sending a champion to save Fiona from the Dragon's Keep. This would greatly alarm the Fairy Godmother, because her plan for many years was to send Prince Charming when he was ready to save Princess Fiona. She had been training him since he was a boy, and has as life goal to save Fiona when the time was right, so her plan could come to fruition and she could rule far, far away with her son. And so, the more than well prepared Prince Charming set off on his journey to save Princess Fiona. During this time, he would travel through blistering cold, scorching desert, and travelling many days and nights, risking life and limb to reach the Dragon's Keep. So Prince Charming and his noble steed, Jaunty, would be making their way to the keep to save Princess Fiona. And if that wasn't enough already, King Harold and Queen Lillian, Fiona's parents, would also hear that a noble champion had rescued their daughter, Princess Fiona, from the Dragon's Keep. So, they would send their noble escort, messenger, and master trumpeter, Reggie, to Shrek Swamp with a mission to invite their daughter to go to Far, Far Away, so Shrek could get Fiona's parents' blessing. In addition, another piece of possible lore could also happen in this time between Shrek 1 and Shrek 2, the mysterious creation of the Dronkeys. Regardless of whether you think Farfaraway Idol, the extra movie at the end of Shrek 2, as canon, it's rather mysterious that at the end of Farfaraway Idol, it is revealed that Donkey and Dragon have produced the Dronkeys. If that is the case, Dragon and Donkey must have hooked up sometime in this 2-week gap between the second Shrek movie, and I'm guessing it's probably at the end of the party at the end of Shrek 1. This would make a lot of sense, because Donkey would have serenaded Dragon with his smooth singing voice, and it would also give Dragon time to make the Dronkeys. I don't see this happening at any other time if Far, Far Away Idol is canon, because Dragon would at least need a little time to create her babies. So yes, if the Donkey cameo before Shrek 3 is canon, then Donkey and Dragon must have hooked up then. Then I don't see any other time Donkey and Dragon could have hooked up. So, as you see, a lot of events happen between Shrek 1 and Shrek 2 that the audience isn't directly told about, unless they're paying a lot of attention. My theory about the big bad wolf also makes a lot of sense, because it explains why he was at the Dragon's Keep when Prince Charming arrived there at the beginning of Shrek 2. It also ties up a lot of loose ends, which I think is pretty ogreific. But what do you guys think? Is there anything in this little time gap that I may have missed? If so, make sure to comment it down below. Also, I want to thank you if you got this far. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, because it really helps our swamp grow. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell, so you know whenever I upload more Shrek related content. Also, make sure to comment down below and tell me what other Shrek content you would like to see on this channel, and any other ideas on theories and topics in the Shrek universe that you want me to cover. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter to get the latest updates about the channel. Stay safe everyone, and I hope you have a Shrektastic day, and I'll see you again soon.